Texas may be headed for a third straight top 5 class. They're currently number 6. They probably are moving up now with the news that you just gave me. Xavier Filsaime, formerly committed to Florida, 5-star safety,
I'm going to trust your pronunciation on that.
Texas. You're good at what?
You feeling good about that pronunciation?
I am feeling good about that pronunciation.
Okay, all right.
I did my homework, so. But Xavier Filsaime, former Florida 5-star safety, in-state guy from McKinney, Texas, flipped going to Texas. The Texas has had a nice run here late at the end. Kobe Black, top 50 safety, committed recently. It looks like Texas may be flipping Ty Anthony Smith, 4-star linebacker who's currently committed to Texas A&M. So you're looking at Texas, who right now is in the college football playoff. They were kind of at the edge of the top 10 a few weeks ago, and now they're surging, looking like a top 5 class right now. But Steve Sarkisian is doing a hell of a job and building this team. They haven't built this team not just for now, for competing for national championship now, but I would say building this team pretty good for the future and competing in the SEC. What has impressed you about how Texas has done this in the last few years?
Yeah, I mean, this is what it's supposed to look like, right? In terms of Texas, recruiting at the highest level, not in the way of like, let's just go reach for guys based on rating, but really being able to both like win in state with the Colin Simmons of the world, who you need to win those battles against the world, but then to go, and to be able to go out of state too with guys like Brandon Baker. I think in terms of building off playoff momentum, and certainly you're going to get a little bit of a benefit here from the fact that A&M is going through a change right now down at the moment. I think that kind of a perfect storm for Texas, and this is the kind of class that like should have pretty high expectations in terms of maintaining that standard of success. So yeah, Texas looking like they're going to be a winner, not a shocker to anybody, but looking like they're going to be a winner here on signing day this week.
Yeah. Let's mention some others real quick. Florida State, they're, as we record this, number 3 in the 247 composite. Believe it or not, this is the first top 5 class they will have signed since 2016, if they finish there. And their last top 10 class was in 2017. So
wow.
Mike Norvell and staff really doing a good job for Florida State, getting them really high in the recruiting rankings. Of course, you look at their on-field results, 13-0. Should have been in the college football playoff, weren't, but they've really capitalized on that on the recruiting trail. Florida is trying to hang on here. They had a top 5 class entering the week, but they just lost Filsaime to Texas. There's a couple others. DJ Lagway, the 5-star quarterback who's been committed there for a really long time. Some other schools, Texas A&M, Baylor, Houston, in-state schools for him. He's a Texas kid. They've been in his ear, but him and his father both told 247 over the weekend that they're still playing to sign with Florida. But there's a few others. Damaris Williams.
That kid's a stud. Just want to note real quick that DJ Lagway's a stud.
Yeah,
I'm excited to see. I'm excited to see him next year.
I got to see him in Elite 11 in the spring, and he is put together really well. He's a big strong guy, and he's going to be a good one. But Auburn's kind of lurking for one of Florida's defensive line commits, top 100 defensive line, Damaris Williams. LJ McCray, 5-star D lineman, he's committed. Auburn and Florida State have kind of been in the mix. They don't still have a defensive line coach at the moment. Florida doesn't. That Sean Spencer got fired, and they haven't filled that spot as of this Monday. Isaiah Williams, their 3-star receiver commit, visited A&M over the weekend. So Billy Napier trying to hold that class together. So it'll be interesting to see how Florida ends up. Auburn is looking really good. Hugh Freeze, first recruiting cycle going really well. Number 11 in the 247 sports composite entering the week. And they're in the mix to try to flip a few other guys. But this will be, if they finish in the top 10, if they're able to push in the top 10, they'll be their first top 10 class since 2020. The last 3 years, they've been in the low teens and high teens and low 20s. So Hugh Freeze
they've got some like difference makers coming in. They were able to flip Cam Coleman, the 5-star receiver top 10 recruit away from Texas A&M after
Mhm.
Jimbo Fisher was fired. They have Perry Thompson coming in, two of the best wideouts in the state and in the country. And I told our friend Justin Ferguson, you're going to be covering some dudes next year. They're bringing in some real freak dudes. So excited. Yeah, that's not surprised that Hugh Freeze could bring together a really strong class, no matter the results on the field in year one at Auburn. And yeah, it's a nice looking group for sure.
Yeah. Flip watch. Of course, you always want to look out for flips at the end. Number 1 overall recruit Jeremiah Smith, currently committed to
Yeah.
Ohio State. He's been in communication with the Florida schools. Did not take an official over the weekend, but it seems like Ohio State's confident they can hold on to him. Another Ohio State commit, 5-star defensive
That's
lineman.
the one I'm watching on signing day, Sam. Jeremiah
Jeremiah
Smith.
Smith.
Like I'm not
Yeah.
calling a flip here by any means, but man, those Florida schools are fighting hard to try to flip him. And he is, from people I've talked to in the recruiting space, they see Jeremiah Smith as a generational type of wideout, and one that certainly those kinds of players that you can understand why they go to Ohio State. You know, the track
Mm-hmm.
record of draft picks is ridiculous lately. Heartline's done an amazing job, but yeah, those Florida schools are not going to give up on Jeremiah Smith until that fax is in. So that could be pretty interesting to watch. Could be Ohio State taking care of business, but I guarantee those schools are fighting as hard as they can.
Yeah. Edric Houston, 5-star defensive lineman, also committed to Ohio State. Recently visited Alabama and Clemson. Again, Ohio State seems like they're going to hold on there, but Bama's one to watch in that one. And one that may be leaning toward a flip, Armando Blunt, committed to FSU currently. He had been committed to Miami back in the summer, decommitted in October, committed to Florida State in November, but took a visit to Coral Gables over the weekend. So it looks like the Canes may be able to flip him. And then along the lines beyond the 5 stars, UCF. Hello, UCF, 27th in the class rankings right now. It's the highest ranking in the modern era. They've never been higher than 50th in recruiting rankings. So
That's
shout out Gus
awesome.
Malzahn and his staff.
That's awesome.
Highest ranked group of 5 class right now, South Florida, USF. Alex Galesh has 25 commits. They're ranked 50th in the country right now. So that is the highest ranked group of 5 class. Texas Tech is going to end up, looks like, hold on to Micah Hudson. He's been holding strong, the 5-star receiver. They're 21st in the recruiting rankings. It'll be the first time they've had back-to-back top 30 classes since 2011, 2012. So Joey McGuire and that staff doing a really good job on the trail. And Miami, currently number 7. They are trending toward back-to-back top 10 classes. And guess what? That would be a first for Miami since 2005. They had a run of about 4+ top 10 classes in a row back in the mid-2000s, early 2000s. But they haven't had back-to-back top 10 classes, at least not according to the recruiting data that our trusty recruiting editor Mitch Light has put together. They have not had back-to-back top 10 classes since the mid-2000s. So shout out Mario Cristobal in Miami. A lot of these, they've had a few top 10 classes sprinkled in. They had number 8 class in 2018, number 7 class last year in 2023, but a lot of classes in the teens in the last decade plus. So
and that D-line haul for the Hurricanes could be pretty ridiculous when the dust settles on Wednesday. Interested to see what that group looks like.
No doubt. It's they're stacking up talent over there in South Beach. So it's going to be interesting to see how they come together. Before we go, I wanted to see Max. We get to see some of these guys, and we get to hear about some of these guys, get to write about some of these guys. But who is your favorite recruit in this class, or who you're excited to see in 2024 or beyond?
Well, I wrote earlier this year about Gatlin Bear, the wide receiver from Idaho, who he's going to take an LDS mission, and so it'll be a couple years before he really breaks out in 24. That's going to be. He was committed to Boise State. Now I think he's going to end up at probably Michigan or Oregon. Who is the guy that you're fired up about, or you're betting on to be a gem?
Yeah, as I watched the Texas High School State Championships this weekend, I got to see a lot of different guys, but the one that has been one of my favorites from the start is Hoss Haney, the TCU 4-star quarterback commitment. Hoss is a guy that I got to, and Ari has wrote about him as well. We went to go see him in Elite 11, and you saw him line
up. Did Tyler make you say this, or this is on your own?
Tyler did not make me say this. I have actually was on Hoss Haney before Hoss Haney was a prospect. So I actually got to meet Hoss. I went at Texas Tech camp about 3 years ago. He had just been coming off freshman year and was just hanging around watching. It was actually before Joe McGuire was there. I think Matt Wells was still a coach, and I was just watching guys throw in the stadium, and Haney threw the best ball of all the quarterbacks there, and he was just coming out of his freshman year. And when I was like, "Who is this guy?" and I introduced myself, he was, he's about 5'10", so he's not real big. And found out he's a TCU legacy, and just really, really impressed by him. He got an offer from Nebraska a few months after that summer, I think, or later that year. And then never was kind of quiet on the recruiting trail. And then after his junior season, it really started to pick up. And he's real fast track guy, about 10.6 in the 100, but it throws a beautiful ball and helped lead Alito to another state championship this weekend. I believe it's his second as a starting quarterback. Just threw some NFL type balls that you saw him. And I really, really enjoy watching him play. But he was one of those guys that I got to see before everybody knew who he was, and now you've seen him blossom. And I think he's going to be a really good fit in TCU's offense, and is going to be a lot of fun to watch. And the other one who I've had fun watching really for the last 3 years is Colin Simmons, the 5-star defensive lineman edge rusher who's going to Texas from Duncanville. Duncanville beat North Shore in the state championship, and Colin Simmons, defensive player of the game. He's been just the dominant edge rusher, and gosh, he's going to be a plug and play guy right away. I think at Texas, you're going to put him on the edge on third downs, and he's going to make an impact as a freshman. He's a big guy, fast,
kind of like an Anthony
physical.
Hill, who could just you plug him in, he looks just like the rest of the guys out there. Yeah.